says they need a new program. Because the first thing when you go to talk to any professional about some of the families that you're working with, they want to know, well, what is wrong? What's wrong? And who did it? Who's responsible for this being wrong? And they want to blame somebody. And I was at a training in PG County last week, one day, sometime. And somebody said, Mark said to Ross, the homebound want to know if you can get burned. They want to know if you see the wrong things that these families are doing. They don't believe that you know that these families are doing things wrong, that you can let them know that they're wrong. So the professionals come into the family space and they're looking for, you're doing this and it's wrong. It's your fault that these kids are this way. It's your fault that your family is this way. So when you find fault, I have trained myself that if someone is finding fault to me, I want to get everybody's attention about this. I don't hear you. I have trained myself not to hear you. I don't listen to anybody who's finding fault with me.
Planned ignoring.
Planned ignore. Greg says it sounds like planned ignore. If you're saying that you see me struggling with something and you even see how I might be able to do it better, I'm open.
All right, so it's really, so what you're saying, because it don't sound realistic not to find fault with others, because fault is there. Wait a minute, fault is there, but if you're coming at me with a way suggestively, let me finish. If you suggestively coming at me in a way that you will continue to help me to better myself without actually placing, it's like if you want, I always had this expression, if you look down on a man, if you ain't looking down to pick him up, then you're not really helping that individual. Mm-hmm. All right. Even there's a record that's out in the Christian side.
Okay, well,
but I'm saying, you saying it more in that sense, because it don't sound realistic not to find fault with others.
That's what I want to talk about, Troy. I want to talk about that.
Yeah,
you're bringing it up.
You're bringing it in the column that we're not looking like we're going around the fault finders or to whip somebody about their fault. But what we're saying, what we want to do is continue to monument that what you is doing and show you how you can do whatever you're doing better. So therefore, to say you're doing better is to say that there's a problem, or to be able to say to suggest that this is a better way is still saying that there's something that has to be worked on. So they're still saying there's a fault.
You're addressing the fault
without actually singing that monumenting the fault.
That it's a fault.
Well, I'm saying don't find fault.
Right. Right, but when he said from our perspective, we actually find it and we're addressing it without basically letting you know to say, look, don't do that, don't, that's wrong, don't do it like that. But we know that it's wrong, so we telling you other ways to do the thing that you're doing wrong.
Do you find it or you see it?
You see it. You ain't finding it. You ain't going looking for it. But I mean, it's there, so you can't help but address it.
Well,
but find means to go. You have
well, it's fine. You have to go looking for it. All right.
All
right, fine.
Right.
But
I mean, looking for it.
I don't know if this is along the same lines, but it's like finding fault, or is it a weakness, or is it something that can be strengthened? Is it something that's a lack of understanding?
Is
it
it a
something
struggle? Is it a
that's
fault
not
or is it
there?
a struggle?
See,
that's what I was pushing you to do, to reframe it. Is it a fault or is it a struggle? Are you looking to say that this is something that is out of order and you're responsible for it being out of order? Or are you looking to say you're struggling with this and I see you struggling with this, and I think if you look at these things and this things and try this and that, you may be able to get it done more efficiently.
So what you're saying is try to avoid putting the guilt trip on somebody.
Right, basically putting the guilt trip on somebody.
I would assume.
Well, I want us to keep talking about this word fault because it's intense with us, and that's why I like that. I like it when we bring out things that are really intense with us and we can struggle with them.
It's good because at the same time I know I do it.
Because I think what Troy said is a real thing. It's a deep thing, just as Rod said, that we've been hearing all of our lives, and it's a very difficult thing to even imagine. It's a very difficult thing to even imagine. I tell you, when we talk about it intellectually, it's hard for us to imagine, but when we out there working, we do it. I see it. You do not find fault with those families. If you find fault with them, you could not help them. You would just be sitting holding them responsible for them. You couldn't assist them. What you do is you see what they're struggling, you see what they're trying to do, instead of looking for and paying attention to what they're not doing and what is not happening. What you do is you look and you see what they're trying to do. So you don't spend any time on who's responsible for this. Who's responsible for why these children's not doing this? Is Marion responsible? Is Angie Lloyd responsible? No. Marion's trying to supervise her son. Angie's trying to supervise her family. She's trying to teach and train them. That's what I'm coming in. That's what I'm putting my energy into. I'm not looking for who's responsible for that. I mean, I mean, if you get to who's responsible, you probably be back at the devil.
Yeah, but we're not back at the devil, and we're not really, we know already, we go out knowing it's the devil, so we're not concentrating on the fact that it is the devil. We're going on from there, but that don't mean that we don't know it's the devil. We might not find it, we might not go out there and say, look, you know, your problem is it's the devil, we're gonna go on from here. But we go on and go on from here knowing that it is the devil, and we're coming on in with the implantation, the interventions that we have in order to continue to help them with the struggle that they are going through. But when I hear that and I see fault, it's like you're almost saying we will not find fault, like fault does not exist.
The key is, I guess.
But see, that's what I'm saying. That's why I think a lot of people pick that up, even on the on the intellectual level. They're not looking at the word that we find. Actually, we're going out looking for it.
I'm saying our work is not important.
Right. Fault is not important to us.
I guess the blessing would be is to recognize that it's there.
I just deal with
I mean, if you need to recognize it, I don't need
if you need to, and I guess, and then you just deal with the family where they are.
Yeah.
Come in and
We
this
worry
is
about
the
purpose
situation.
more so than fault.
Right.
Yeah.
It's purpose, like the lady with the who had sinned and
Right.
was a whore, and Jesus brought them in
At
and
the well?
said he without sin, no, he without sin cast the first stone. Yeah.
Right.
So
we're not wrong
the
with the fact
purpose,
that-
right.
Right.
I mean,
We
the milk
look at
spill,
the
we
purpose.
either sit there and complain about
We
it.
clean it up. We
Right.
go
My
clean it
thing
up.
is, if somebody's down and I already know they're down, I don't need to continue to make them feel even more down. My thing is to pick them up.
Right.
And that's my whole attitude when I go into families, because I can easily join around the fact that
That's
you're down and you hurt,
And
and
you
you
can
need
easily-
to stay down, because you ain't gonna learn
Because
until
it's
you
your-
get
because
down.
it's your
And
fault.
when you get down,
That's right.
you need to
Because
stay
it's
down.
your fault. That's
It's your
right.
fault.
It's your fault that you didn't do it right.
yourself.
You spend up all that money, so that's why you don't have any money now, and I'm not gonna help. It's your fault.
Right.
You're responsible for not getting any money, therefore you should not have
So no
any.
pain, no gain.
That's what fault. That's what founding fault is.
Right, that's what we're doing with Miss Jackson. We're doing that with Miss Jackson right now. Right now, basically, we're trying to let Miss Jackson deal with the fact of the consequences of her
Okay,
behavior.
that's different.
Yeah, that's different.
It's very different.
You got some
Very
foundation
different.
there. You
See,
got
that's
braces.
again, Frank, good, that's again, Troy, that's seeing her struggle and sharing what you see with her, sharing your observation with her in a way that she can make intervention into her own process. That's what allowing her to deal with her consequences of her decisions are. That's the only thing, that's seeing her trying to do something and your attempt to assist her. That's your attempt to assist her. You attempt to say, pay attention to this. Pay attention to the fact that when you do A, B happens. When you do C, D happens. So if you want to prevent B, check A. Check out how you're doing A. If you want to prevent D, look at what you're doing with the C here. That's what that is. It's not finding fault. Fault is just like Rob said, you're down, you should be down because you did this and that. It's on you.
You just
It's
blame
on
the
you.
folks.
So I think initially when Troy was explaining about finding fault, it was that we wasn't clearly defined on what you were looking at as fault. Finding fault was. It wasn't defined clear enough, because I took it the way he took it, saying you ain't gonna find nothing that they struggling with. That's how you break it down, struggling. But we look at it as, I look at it as the word fault, not saying I'm gonna condemn you for this thing you're struggling with.
Because we're going to see sin, in other words. We're going to see
You know what?
sin,
I like
and
it.
we're going to go and deal
I
with it.
like the word that you use, Kevin. I think that captures what I'm trying to get at. Are we going out to condemn people?
Right.
Are we going out to condemn people because they are struggling? Are we going out and spend our energies trying to say they're struggling because of their own doing? Are we going to condemn them for the positions that they're in, like they get all the time in the world? And I'm saying one of the reasons why we had such a problem with that just was because of what Troy said. It is very difficult to embrace the concept of not finding fault. It is very difficult because we were all trained to do it, to find fault. Whose fault is it? Whose fault is it?
The devil. That's what's fault. Well, I know that now.
Everybody-
Usually I went
everybody
before then,
wanna
before
know.
I realized it was the devil.
It's
It
your
was
fault.
Brian's
It's your
fault.
fault. It's your fault. That's right.
And I
It's
blamed
your
it on
fault.
rain.
You do. Blame it on the rain. It's your fault.
Somebody did.
So that is, it's something that we should, and and our task, I think, is to continue, as individuals, to continue to struggle, to check ourselves when we find ourselves finding fault. It's her fault, she did this, and that's why she's in this situation, it's her fault. It said, in our model, in our work, whose fault it is irrelevant. We are there because we already have an idea about who's responsible for this. Sometimes we have ideas about it that the people themselves may not even be aware of.
That's true.
So our task is even to free them from feeling that it's their fault.
Right.
To free them from feeling that it's their fault.
Okay, but, all right, and we free that, but how do we monument, once we free them of it as fault, but yet at the same time, there is a will on everyone's part to be accountable for their own actions. So we're not going to find their fault. We're going to we have to empower them to accept the accountability to take ownership in whatever they are doing.
I think you do it by helping them to see what they're doing right and helping them to see that they can do more of that.
Okay, so we monument that which they is doing.
That's what they are doing.
Continue to do.
Right, and they will continue to do that. Help them to do that, and that way they can see that they can create results. That they can create results. That way we'll help them to see that they create results. That they are tied to their own actions. We can help them to see it by monumenting the things that they're doing right, and helping them to see that they can do some more of that, and they will get a certain result.
But I find it hard to believe that by us coming in their lives, that being us on that side, that positive, they see most positive. When they see us, they see the positive in us. So by we coming in their life, I believe that we have a part into their into their recovery to be what they want to be, and that's being positive or being, in the image, somewhat our character, whatever.
Yeah.
So I believe, even by saying a little bit of words, I believe we already made an impact on them just by being in the midst of their presence.
In their presence, right.
Right.
Laws will tell you, just being there, you're doing something.
Yep. By sitting there, by being there, you're doing something.
Because they start confessing it.
One thing you're doing by being there, which is a response to people feeling that they're at fault, is you are accepting them.
Right.
Just by being there, you are accepting them. You are accepting them, and you're saying, I'm sitting here in your presence. I'm choosing to sit here in your person. I see something worthwhile in you. I see that you're doing something worthwhile. That's how I'm sitting here with you. I don't have to be here. I'm choosing to be here because I see something worthwhile in you, even if you don't see it in yourself. I'm a whole vision of this worthwhile that I see in you till you get to it. And I'm keep showing it to you. Every time you do it, I'm gonna keep showing you this higher person that I see in you. Every time you do it, I'm gonna plan to ignore some of the things that you do that are not of your higher self. But every time you do something that's of your higher self, I'm gonna monument it. I'm gonna show you that that's it. That's the thing that you can do that ties you with your behavior and shows you what the true meaning of accountability is and what the true director of accountability is, who the true director of accountability is.
Yeah, that's what I did with Ms. Jackson this morning on the phone, because she was having a problem with all relationships, and some she wanted to sever, not because of the fact that she was trying to find fault with everybody else.
Yeah.
And I began to show her how that really, in one way, I end up showing how the buck really stops there, and as Truman was saying, the buck stops here. Basically, the buck stopped there, and for her to continue to show her how that she will continue to use her supports, and at the same time, begin to show her how it's really building up her purpose, even more so to go back and begin to help someone else in that situation after she used what she has. Which I would, I don't know if actually I didn't pinpoint fault, but I begin to let her know that somehow I got around through a parable of the woman at the well, showing her how, through that context, showing her how basically her real issue is that she wants to worship God, and it's not based upon whether it is in this mountain or it's in Jerusalem, but it's a matter of her really worshiping Him in the spirit and truth and having that relationship in order that she will be able to deal for other relationships.
Yeah, right, what she really wants to do, because sometimes she's not aware of that because she's too busy finding fault with herself and others. And I find when people are finding fault with others, when people are hard on others and they're finding fault, you can just guess that this person is real hard on themselves. And I find that people find, it's like, if you truly accept that God forgives you, then when you make a mistake, you can be truly remorseful and let it go and use your energies to apply yourself to not making it again. And for you to hold on to fault and guilt, for you to hold on to guilt and fault is your way, is you holding right on to the point that you don't believe that God loves you. You don't believe that God loves you. If you're holding on to fault for yourself and fault for others, then you're not really believing scriptures. If you're holding on to fault, because the scriptures say that God forgives you. So you need to move on.
A lot of people don't forgive themselves. That's why they don't.
A lot of people don't believe that God
forgives
forgives them.
them either.
They don't believe that God. So I find when somebody don't forgive themselves, it's because they don't believe that God can forgive them. Like you said, they may not be aware. Anne may not be aware that she really desires to serve God and to love God by serving His people and by taking full care of the gifts that she has been entrusted with.
And then there's another guilt that I believe Anne goes through. She goes through the same cycle over and over and over and over again, and I think she have a problem with understanding whether or not God is keep forgiving her. I went to him last week,
I went through this.
and then I went through it, and then the next week I'm going through the same thing. It's like I'm tired of going to him, asking him for forgiveness, so I choose not to go to him no more because it's my stupidity, then she getting on guilt jumping,
I'm
right, let's go in there, lay hands on, cast out things, and bind up things, and
Yeah. I think when she's asking for forgiveness, she's saying, I would ask you for forgiveness, God, but I know I don't deserve it, so I ain't really gonna ask you. I don't think she ever really gets to.
Right, she don't think she deserves it.
I don't think she ever really gets to ask.
Right.
I'm not gonna ask you because I don't think I deserve it, so I ain't gonna ask you. I know I really deserve to be here where I am, so I'll stay here. Let me go get some more.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So people holding on to that just blocks you off from the love of the Creator. It blocks you off from the love, because the love of God is empowering, and it helps you to move, and it helps you to be a certain way of your higher self with others. So when you're not able to do that, it's because you're doing something that blocks you off, that cuts you off. It says, I don't deserve it. I don't deserve it.
Beating clothes. Everybody know.
What's the second one? You see how many more can get you?
Say something good, do something good, think something good.
Those
I know those.
are the powerful.
I'm the power. It's there. I'll be like, Lord,
I will use my
I'll
power to
sin
discriminate between right and wrong.
Say it again?
I will use my power to discriminate between right and wrong.
Okay. Right. All right, that's enough. For
You better
you.
change it.
My power. That's right. Live up to the power of your own discrimination. Use my
Between
power
right
to
and wrong.
discriminate.
I will use my power.
Discriminate between right and wrong. What you get from that?
don't care.
Come on.
Come on. You got some power. Come on high. My mind's numb. We gonna get Holy Ghost.
Well, that's the same kind of thing that you were talking about earlier. Sometimes the people you interact with might be involved, as Curtis was talking about earlier, in things that we know are not good for them, and we have labeled those things wrong. And the things that we say are not good for people are the things that keep them from living in their higher self. The things that prevent them, that block them from living in their higher self. So when you're with the clients now, for example, one of the clients cuts you out, and you don't think that's right because it's not they're living in their higher self. Now, so you curse them back. Whose power did you use? Did you use your power or did you use their power to discriminate against right and wrong?
Yeah, use the same power they use. That was getting there. That's what
So if you use your power to discriminate between right and wrong, you would do what you think is right. What you believe is right, no matter what other people are doing around you. You would do what you think is right. You would use your own power to discriminate. Your power. You will not lose your focus. You will not be distracted. You will not be drawn into somebody else's sense of right and wrong, somebody else's will and power to discriminate between right and wrong. Stay in touch with your power and stay in touch with who you are. Stay in touch with what your principles are. Stay in touch with what you're doing in your life as the other person struggle with what they're doing in their life.
Go ahead, I feel a shout coming on. Go.
Yeah, you all right now. You talking. You teaching today.
What was the next one, Karen? Do not look for
Troy. Troy, hit that shout.
This is another hard one.
You got the shout that you was on, Troy?
Do not look for the fruit. The fruit of your actions.
Oh, I believe that.
That's really kind of like the same, kind of saying the same thing. These are all tied together, and they're all tied to the things that Curtis was talking about earlier. Looking for the fruit of your action. This one, looking for the fruit of your action can burn you out. It can really burn you out. You put all these hours in, and you're expecting, when you go back there, you want to see movement. You want to see that people have changed. And I believe that people have changed. They have changed from your presence. They have changed from the presence that you represented. I believe that people have changed. But they have changed sometimes in subtle ways according to their own relationship with God and their own needs in that relationship. And sometimes in ways that our eyes are not able to see.
Yeah.
So if you're doing something and you're expecting the reward to reproduce in front of you all the times, you will get burned out. You're looking for the fruit of your action. If you're not doing it because you believe in it and you believe it's the right thing to do, you believe in it, you believe in the right thing to do. And in your spiritual model, it says that you do the right thing, and you have to do, and you believe that the rewards will come, as Curtis said earlier, when it's time.
When it's time.
Great. Okay.
I think that you said don't look for the fruit of your labor. I think if you don't look for the end product, or you don't look basically for the harvest, but you can look for signs of the fruit coming up. If you can look for that and not be disappointed, and you be safe. But if you plant, say, a seed today and you look for the harvest tomorrow, or the increase tomorrow, that's when you could be disappointed. And I usually you can look at it in the short term effect. When I go with a client and say they had a breakdown in communications between mom and child, and I sit there and I provide some crisis intervention and I help them resolve their issue, and then I go for the fruit of that because they were to be escalated. It's short term, and it's like there was a seed planted. So next time maybe they may not need me to do it the next time. It's short term. It might not happen every time, but going down the line, maybe a couple months, couple of years, or whatever, they may not need me. But for short term, I could look for a little. But like I said, you could get growth.
You look for growth.
That's what I'm saying. You just look for a little.
The end product.
You can see growth, but like I said, at one time I did agree with that totally. Going for the fruit, but I look for a little growth. But actually, it is fruit. But I'm looking for what I know it's going to be.
But I guess it's also just based on what you guys call loving unconditionally.
Unconditional
It's
love.
just doing it because you
Trust
know it's right
and
and walking on faith. But
faith.
at the same time, one thing I was sharing with Ms. Marshall is that I think it's real important to visualize. I think that we just begin to focus that we're going to see Marcus 10, 15 years from now clean, straight, and doing what's needed to be done. But you need to visualize that. And when you see him in that vision already, it gives you something to reach for, because as you get to it, the closer you get to the creator, the more you struggle with. You know what I mean? I mean, your obstacles get greater and greater and greater. So visualize and notice that as you're you're reaching for that, there's going to be more struggles coming because something is trying to hold the spirit. But you have to visualize. So it's okay to visualize and to go for it at the same time. Just doing what you know. I just know right from wrong. Just do it unconditionally. Don't expect anything. Just do it. And it's hard at times to do it in certain situations. But I guess the harder it is, the closer you're getting.
what I like about what you said was about not expecting anything. You go in, you work with a family. That's what looking for the fruit means, in my opinion. Not expecting anything. You work with a family and you want them to succeed. So you have to be aware of the difference between wanting them to succeed and expecting them to succeed because of what you do. And expecting them to fit into your timetable and your need in life. And faith is allowing them to fit into their own timetable and their own need in life, in their own higher self.
You're right, because I couldn't go in there and not expect them to prosper by intervention. I cannot do it now. I got to have the hope that my intervention is going to do something. Even if, like I said, if it don't do it right away, even if I don't see it at all, I can't go in there not thinking that I'm not going to have any type of.
Okay. Now I think hope and faith is different from expectations.
Yeah.
Expectations say that I need you to do this and I need you to do it because of something in me.
Right.
When I say that, I need you to do it because of something in me. Because it's going to fulfill some need in me.
Right, selfishness.
Right.
So based upon selfishness.
And faith and hope talks about your spiritual connection and how it actualizes in your behavior, how it manifests in your behavior, and what it says about what you do and then what happens after what you do. You believe that you are doing these things because these things are right. That's why you're doing them. That's why you're doing them. You're not doing them so somebody can go to school. Also, somebody going to school may often be the results of an action. It may often be results. But if somebody goes to school because of results of your action, that's happening bigger in some level, bigger than you. That's happening because of some plan bigger than you. You see, this is all about, do we know what the ultimate plan is? If we did, then we'd probably have other titles. We'd probably have other titles. We'd be angels or archangels or something if we knew what the ultimate plan is. We're spiritual travelers who are studying, trying to get glimpses.
Sons of God.
Ask them to be used.
Yes, yes,
Sons of God.
absolutely.
Even you, Karen. Son of God.
All right. So we got the three of them, and we're tying them to all of the training that we've been over before, and just tying them to where we are, and seeing how they fit into our velocity, examining them, struggling with them, seeing what parts of them that we can buy into. And I like it that everybody's just coming up with where they are with them, because that's what's important, where you are with them. And what you do when you're out there, you have to be comfortable with it, and you have to be projecting something that you believe in when you're out there.
Amen. Be single-pointed.
Be single-pointed.
That's the middle ground
Be
there.
single-pointed.
Yeah, that's a lot of points out there.
Be single-pointed. This one is a really, really interesting one.
Yeah, it is.
Be single-pointed, particularly when,
Curtis. That sounds like Curtis.
that sound like Curtis? Curtis is single-pointed?
Yes.
Curtis is single-pointed. All right. Curtis has mastered this rule of thumb. These, by the way, the rules of thumb are the principles for keeping your mirrors clean.
Yeah.
These are the principles for keeping your mirrors clean, because when you go out there and you take your mirrors out and you are showing people who they are, you want to make sure that you don't have toothpaste on your mirrors. Remember, you brush your teeth, the toothpaste gets all over the mirror, and then you look like you got spots on the face. So we don't want the clients to look at us and say, oh, I got spots on my face, when really it's a spot on our mirror. So it's a dirty mirror. We want to keep our mirrors clean so the clients can see themselves as we intend for them to see themselves. We're trying to show them the highest parts of themselves. I see good in you. And this is how it manifests. You help your sister.
What kind of
Or you help your homeboy. Or you did something that I see that is of your higher self. You may not see it because you may be so tied to the negative and holding on to the negative. You might not see the good in you, but I see it. And I'm going to hold this vision of it so until it's going to help you to get to it. So being single-pointed is talking about focusing on one thing at a time and working that through to completion. Be single-pointed. Pay attention to one thing at a time. That's a very difficult thing to do, especially when we have abundance sources who want to know are the kids doing 20 things and our families doing 20 things. It's hard for us to say, well, we're focusing right now on containment for Anthony. But is he in school? But how can we talk to his mother that way? Well, we have assessed that he's at greatest risk for dying in the streets, so we're focusing on containment for him. But he's still doing this. He's still going to the club.
Plan ignorance in a sense.
But he's still going to the club.
Yeah.
He still curses. He still smokes. Yeah, well, we're working on saving his life. But he still picks up the wrong fork at the
Stay
table.
focused.
Stay focused. Stay focused on what you're doing and do it. And other people will get into the enthusiasm and the energy from what you're doing. And other people can feel it and feel its importance from your connection with it. Stay focused. Be
Stay
a single
focused.
point. If you are washing the dishes, wash the dishes. Pay the bills tomorrow. We're washing dishes and paying the bills, don't care. You know, wash the dishes and you know I gotta take this money from people to pay for. That's how we're trained. Our minds are always busy, so we never get the full power of our mind that way because we always shoot so much stimulus into our minds at one time. It's everywhere. We just open our antennas up and they just receive all this stuff all the time. And then you know they do short circuit us and we never really get one complete positive constructive thought finished thought and turn it into a positive constructive action. Because we receive that information from everywhere.
And we receive one from people want to turn it into a positive.
Yes, because we receive so much stimulus, you know, and it's short circuit. Short circuit.
Is it called keeping life simple?
Yes, yes, keeping life simple. You know that if somebody could write a book about that, they'd be a millionaire. How to keep life simple. A lot of our stress comes from the complications that we've created in life. The fact that we're washing the dishes and paying the bills.
Keep things
We
simple.
want to keep it simple.
That's hard.
It's very hard.
That's hard.
It's
He's
very
going against
hard.
nature. It's
It's
hard.
very hard.
You're going against something.
Super hard.
Very, very much so.
Everybody's trying to come into your life and say,
Very much
look,
so.
I'm
Very
pressure,
much so.
opposition here, opposition
Absolutely.
there, opposition
Very
everywhere.
much so.
You got to be like Greg, huh?
Very much so.
director, you know. Yeah, you start playing in noise,
Yeah.
you have to kick
Yeah, we
that
gotta
in big
try some of
time.
that.
That's you,
Very much so. It is very difficult.
Greg.
And it's difficult just for the reasons that
That's
Troy's
good,
talking
though,
about,
Greg.
because there's so much pressure on you to complicate your life.
I know that's right.
And the pressure is to complicate your life to meet other people's needs.
Yeah, that's like
You
that.
know, the person comes in and say, I need you to think about this. And you say, well, I'm sitting here with my son. You know, I've decided I'm sitting here with my son. And somebody probably said, did you know your bill was late? And did you know your son didn't go to school? And so they want you to deal with all these issues that they have that meet their needs, rather than allowing you to be simply focused on this one thing, enjoying the company of your son or your daughter. Doing that.
I got that problem.
Yeah, that's
I
good.
Lord help me.
Yeah, that's good.
See,
I can imagine.
that's good. Though. So many things come at me. I be like,
Yeah.
I came up in the office, all the things coming at me, wasn't it?
That's good.
I was
Right.
bitten.
Yeah.
I heard.
So many
Keep things simple.
Sometimes you have to keep.
Simple, I should have just said, I got lunch in my hand.
Yeah.
I got a meeting coming on. I'm up here to eat lunch now. That's all I'm gonna do, eat lunch.
Right, right. I want to eat lunch now. I want to eat lunch. Because you know, you have to trust. You know, we tend to worry about them. It's understood that we have to plan for things, but we tend to worry about things. And it doesn't help. Worrying is such a waste of energy, but we know, you know we're all guilty of it.
Yeah.
But we tend to worry about now, we're going to worry about what's going to happen Monday. Yeah, now, if you have put all into it that you have to put into it, let it go. Let it go, because when Monday comes, if you need to feel nervous about it, you'll be there.
Yeah, it's enough of that.
You can feel nervous about it, you'll be there. But we believe you have to start on Saturday worrying about it. Worrying certainly takes up your creative energy, so you're not applying anything else to it. I mean, you can structure it. That's a constructive way of worrying. Step it out and say, I'm gonna do this and do this about it. Then you take it and you put it on the shelf, and then you go and enjoy your family. And be truly there. Not be there, you're talking to your wife and everything. She's talking, she said, huh?
Yeah.
You didn't really hear.
Your mind is here with me, but your mind will else.
Yeah.
Don't be messing me around.
That's right. Your body's here with me, but your mind is outside of town.
I know that you gonna come, you better come home. Yeah, that's why wives don't like women.
It's on the other side.
Wow.
Let's win this.
They're gonna change the
Well,
name.
That's not W-I-N, that's win. That's 1400
Oh, yeah. Put your mind on the other side of
You
town.
can rephrase that.
Perfect. But they're gonna change the name Wives and Needs.
That's why I said it, but change it. That's nice.
Win, I like that. Why?
Just make sure you get a shout out for it.
Wives in need. That's first thing they ask is how home.
Wives in need, yeah. All right,
That's what
wives
win
in
is,
need.
wives in need. What I need. What everybody else need, they should put up there. Whatever.
Well, you know what, I think that, you know, this is something that I want to say, that I'm always struggling with.
And whites.
We know that's your shorthand. We know you will be.
That's right. Thank you, Greg, I'm trying to do something. When you work in this kind of work, and we talked some last week and the week before about working with people who have limited resources and how they are always in crisis and how the professionals call that dysfunctional, when you're always in crisis. And we know that our people inherit this crisis, and so they start out sometimes behind the 8 ball. And when you're working in this kind of field, your whole family is working.
I know that's right. They tell
Your
me
whole
that.
family is working, and I think you have better chances of meeting their needs if you can talk about it, and if you can accept that everybody is working. And then you can structure some time when everybody is off. You structure some time when everybody is off, and then you keep it on the table that everybody is working, keep everybody's involved, get everybody's input. Get everybody's input because they're working. Everybody is working. When we have the pages, when the pager rings,
Everybody's working. My wife tell me, yep, I'm
Everybody
working.
responds.
Who is that? What's her name?
That's right. She probably knows the name because she's been
Yeah,
talking
is
to
that
her.
Marion? Is that
Yes,
Ann?
that's right.
Is that so and so and so?
Right.
Tell them right now, you ain't got time. Tell them to call you at another time. There is appropriate times. Oh, she
And
helped
see,
you structure.
now if when she's working, now she doesn't say that all the time, Troy. Sometimes she say, well, let me speak to her. Well, how you doing, girl? Why don't you come on over? And yeah, you know that's how that is. Sometimes she says that. So that's her input into the work. Sometimes what she has to offer is what Marianne is calling for.
I tell you what's real.
Children
This
use
is
therapeutically, just help with the peer thing, all the way around.
I tell you what's good, when we were setting up the accounts the other day, and we was talking about last week, and I was telling them about everything, I based the budget on the 80 hours. So if I'm bringing in 100 hours or 121 hours, she began to let me know right then and there, we're all working. So that don't go into your personal account.
All right. And see, that's right. You keep that on the table. The two of you had that agreement at that time that everybody was working. So again, now when she says this is not a time to call, you can just hear what she's saying clinically. You can say that to me clinically and put it to me in a way that I can give it to Marion. So you remind her then that she's working like she reminds you that you was working when you were at the
Yeah, I know
bank.
that's right. She reminded me.
So, and that's what partners in work do. Professional partners do. They keep each other abreast of the issues so that the team can be taken care of.
Effective.
Yes, can be effective. Thank you, Rob. Okay, this was 4, then we went kind, right? So then we have the last 3 of do, think,
Say.
Think, say, and
say,
do.
think first.
Think, say, and do.
You gotta think first.
Right.
Some people like
Think.
to do before they do that.
And you can say it.
Think,
Say and do is the same thing.
and do. Well, sometimes I think do means behavior other than,
We got demonstrate.
right, demonstrate.
got to demonstrate.
Do something
Say it,
good.
live like you say.
Think something
Get Jerome
good.
out of here.
All right. So this is the last line of to ensure when you have just run out of energy to do everything else. When you have run out of energy, like I had a call from a client last night, and the client was experiencing just a lot of turmoil, and it's understandably so because there's a lot of things happening in the sister's life. I mean, just those crises that are just some results of being on the planet, having all these crises. So a lot of times what I realized is that when I was mirroring and when I was saying all these things and when I was talking and trying to get in the middle of those things, she wasn't really listening. She wasn't really listening. And that she didn't call for that. She just called for me to do these last 3 things. Every once in a while, whenever there was a pause, when she would catch her breath, I would say something that I was thinking good, because I had just put myself on that mode to think something good about her. And I always feel real good about her because she's a very competent person, in my opinion, and a very devoted and committed mother and family member. So I just programmed those words in, and everything she said, I tied her to it. And these 3 things. Was thinking something good about her competence, about her commitment to her family, about her struggles, about her strength. And so then I could say something good based on those issues about everything she said. And we did that for 3 hours.
That's good.
We did it for 3 hours, just plugging it in. And what was happening is that she was sharing, and I had programmed myself to produce this good thinking, good thoughts, and good actions. Then I could plug them into her mindset. And then by the end of the 3 hours, she was thinking something good and saying good things and doing good things for herself and about her family. She was doing it. She was saying, because I'm really strong and because I really have done a lot, even though there's a lot of things happening now. I'm really doing some good things, and I need to keep moving because my children are going to be all right, because I've always done positive, constructive things with them, and I want to do more.
Thank you.
Just because I held it while she couldn't get to it, and she was just needed to kick it out there and get some feedback from it, and I just programmed myself to intervene just these ways. So by the end of the conversation, she was doing it. She was doing it.
3 hours.
Yeah.
You got a lot.
No, you treated on the phone for 3 hours. Like no break.
That's possible.
It's possible.
Believe me.
Yeah.
Because see, that's what happened yesterday with Kevin. Kevin, when I called you, when I told you that they sent me on a mission over there to deal with Anthony Miss Jet with his issue, and knowing that I was young and didn't, as far as young and understanding what was actually going on because it wasn't all explained to me. When Anthony Miss Jet transferred him from home to Woodburn, and I go over there and I'm just, I'm going with the assignment that was given to me. And I step in there and he just escalates. So I was able to connect with Kevin and really not asking. I just give him what I got. So in other words, I needed somebody just to listen to me so I can release some of this stuff. Before I'm stepping in this
So
thing.
you can get it off.
Yeah, so I
get
get it all
back into
passed
this.
on, and he was able to
Then you
reframe
can
it.
get back to this, right?
Right, so I was all right after
Get it off
that.
you
Yeah.
so you can just get back to this.
Right.
And you can always trust this. If you can't get to something else, and sometimes things will be happening, so this is all you can do. But you can always depend on this. You can always depend on this. That I'm programming myself to think something good, do something good, and say something good. And when you spend those long hours like that with your client, or with somebody, whoever you're with, that you're trying to assist, you're looking for a shift. You want an emotional shift. And so this is what you want to get them to. You want to get them to letting the other stuff roll off and just get to thinking, saying, and doing something good about and for themselves. And that they can use that to bring themselves out of the feeling of being in crisis, the anxiety associated with feeling that you're in a crisis and that things are out of control and that you can't manage them. So this is always a protection for you. It's always a protection for you. You burnt out to the point where you can't get to nothing else. You can always just program this in, and you're on automatic. You're on automatic. Every time you get something, you tie it into having good thoughts, saying good words, having behavior that manifests into good things to support the other two. Okay, question, comments? I think we're about ready for the next round.
I'd just like to say that after we do all that,